Hey, hi, hello. Thanks for joining my session How to Make the Internet Accessible for Everyone. If you are here, you've probably already seen this page. But did you know that according to the Colorblind Awareness Association, approximately 1 of 12 men and 1 of 200 women in the world see them differently because of the color blindness? For some of the users, our well-known webpage may look like this. But what may be even more surprising for you, color blindness does not necessarily mean seeing the world in grayscale. In fact, it's the least common case. For majority of people with color blindness, our webpage will look like this or this. And during my session, I want to show you some tips on how to build web pages in a way they are available for everyone, not only for people with color blindness, but also other special needs. But before we will go there, let me shortly introduce myself. I am Dominka Zajac and I am programmer from education, profession and passion. I work as a senior software engineer at Qualtrics in Kraków, Poland, and I am Google developer expert in web technologies. I love sharing my knowledge and I conduct lectures, workshops, and write articles, especially about accessibility, web, best practices from DevTools, and I love karaoke. So if you want to talk about any of those topics, feel free to reach out to me, use LinkedIn or Twitter visible on the slide. I would love to stay in touch with you. But let's start with definition. What is accessibility? It's 2024, so of course I asked ChatGPT, but this definition is super long, hard to understand, hard to read, hard to remember, and also contains words that are difficult for me even in my native language. It's why I prefer this definition. Accessibility is building software available for everyone, including individuals with disabilities. You may have seen this shorter version, hashtag A11Y, which also looks like ally word, so it's a cool connection. And it was created by taking the first and the last letter of the word accessibility and counting number of letters between them. Fun fact, this hashtag is not accessible because when you see it for the first time, you have no idea what does it mean. But why we even talk about that? Why accessibility is so important? First of all, we want to provide equal access for information for everyone. Secondly, we want to increase the readability and usability of the webpage for, again, everyone, including people without disabilities, because well-organized, well-structured webpage is just easier to navigate and more user-friendly. And what is more and more important, we have to adapt to legal requirements. When we speak about accessibility, intuitively, mostly we focus on those permanent needs, like having one arm or being blind, but there are different types of needs. Some of them are temporary, like when you have some arm injury and have to use keyboard differently for a few weeks. You don't want to invest in special equipment, you don't want to spend a lot of time on learning how to navigate through the web page, but still you have some special needs. And some needs are situational. For example, when you are distracted driver, you listen, talk, conducted by someone with heavy accent, or you are just at the bar and you can't hear what is in the movie you just watch. What is also very, very important, not all disabilities are visible. So we have to remember about cognitive ones when we design and implement our web pages. And the most important thing is that accessibility is not just a theory. It's real people and their needs. So I want to start my presentation with some experiments. Thanks to them, you can step into your user's shoes and understand their struggles a little more. First of them you've already seen. It's emulating color deficiencies. And it's super easy to perform. All you need is your Chrome browser, navigating to the webpage you want to test, and open Chrome DevTools. It's a set of developer tools implemented in the browser, available for free, developed by Google. You can open it using Command Option I or Ctrl Shift I shortcut on your keyboard, or going through three dots, menu, more tools, and a developer tools option. And when you have this Chrome DevTools open, please find the option to open a menu. Again, it's three dots in the top right corner. Go to More Tools, Rendering, and on this page you can find a section called Emulate Vision Deficiencies. You can choose which option is interesting for you, and after that, just navigate through the web pages the same way you do typically. Check if everything is still available. Do you know what is a link, what is a button, and what is a typical text? Check if you know which fields in your form are invalid without seeing the color. Those questions are just starters to ask when you try understand struggles of your users. The second experiment is even easier to perform. It's just unplugging your mouse and using keyboard navigation. Many supporting software like screen readers rely only on keyboard navigation. So unplug your mouse and check, is everything available on your web page? Can you navigate to all buttons, modals, and so on? How many clicks you need to, for example, go to the main article on the web page? Hint, 30 is definitely too much. Or where's the focus when you close the modal? You may be surprised how difficult is using keyboard navigation in our web pages. The third experiment I want to propose is more challenging to perform, but trust me, really, really worth that. In many cities like Krakow, Warsaw, Prague, and Frankfurt, we have something called invisible exhibition, so places where you can feel like a blind person. You enter totally dark place and have to perform typical tasks like making a tea or crossing the busy street. But trust me, it's very, very difficult when you have to perform them without vision. So check, maybe there's a place like that in your city. It was very, very mind-blowing experience for me, so I strongly recommend that. But now, let's talk about problems we've seen performing those experiments, and of course, how to fix them. First of all, incorrect DOM structure. We have many amazing HTML elements like buttons, lists, and so on, but still we have also tendency to create divs, style them as, for example, button, and add some JavaScript to have them work. Why is problematic? Because those native elements very often have built-in support for accessibility, so you don't have to worry about, for example, keyboard navigation. Also, screen readers know how to read them and how to interact with those elements. Of course, we can fix that using a special role or area tags, but it's more difficult and you can avoid a lot of work on your site when you just use correct HTML elements from the very beginning. When you are unsure how your web page is translating for this accessibility view, you can use something called accessibility tree preview. When you go to Chrome DevTools and go to Elements tab, on the styling part, there's tab called Accessibility. And sometimes you have to check this box, Enable Full Page Accessibility 3. After that, you will see a button with human icon, which will allow you to toggle between HTML view and accessibility preview of this HTML web page. So you can easily see how your web page will be read by a screen reader and fix everything what is needed. So it's super cool feature, especially when you develop more advanced elements and want to check if everything works as designed. Secondly, incorrect headers order. It's connected with organizing information on the web page. And again, we really like to create just the text and style it to be bigger, but those H1, H2, and so on elements not only provide styling, but what is more important, structure of information. So please remember to use those tags and to use them in correct order. Thanks to that, this navigation jumping between sections will be much easier. Again, next problem, very popular on our web pages, is insufficient contrast color ratio. As you can see, the button on the left side, this read articles button, is difficult to read because the contrast between color used for text and the background is too low. We can easily find all problems like that, again, using Chrome DevTools. Now you should go to the More Tools and CSS Overview tab, where you can see report with all colors, fonts, and so on used on your web page. There's a section called Contrast Issues, and when you click on the color, you will see all elements on the web page with this problem. What is even better, when you click on this element from the list, you will be directed to this Styles tab, and when you click on a color picker, Chrome DevTools will propose you a new color, as close to the original one as possible, but fulfilling requirements about contrast. So you can easily fix those problems even without support from UX designer. And the last problem I want to mention is missing label or alternative text. Sometimes it's hard to understand what is in the picture without additional information. And when you use, for example, screen reader, you need some description what is in the picture. We can use alt property for that or area label. When something is just decorative, you can leave this tag empty or use empty quotes. So screen reader will know to avoid that. You can also use tag area hidden true. Do you feel overwhelmed already? I mentioned a lot of mistakes and it's just the top of the list of all problems. Fortunately, there are some automated tools which can help us find all problems on the web page and of course fix them. First of them is Lighthouse Audit. Again, in Chrome DevTools. I mentioned I'm a huge fan of this tool. You can just go to Chrome DevTools, find Lighthouse tab and choose category Accessibility. After a few seconds, you will receive a report, not only with a score between 1 and 100, where score below 50 is bad, 51, 89 is okay, but you should fix something, and we are aiming to have something from 90 to 100. But what is the best in this tool, we receive a list of all problems with additional information. Like here, we know that the problem is with contrast. We have a short description, but also link to the blog where we can check why it's important, how it's measured, and how to fix that. We have list of failing elements, and we know how to fix that. So I strongly recommend to just generate this report and check what can be improved on your web page. Similar, a little more advanced tool is Axe DevTools. You can also use it to perform automated audit on accessibility on your web page or accessibility insights for web. Do you feel a little better after having those automated tools? Unfortunately, there is a catch, because also here we have this weakest link. As even small change to our web page may produce huge impact for our users. And for example, breaking one part of the web page in keyboard navigation may stop your user for accessing the whole part after that. So what is important? Important is remember to think about accessibility at every stage of project's life. And it's why important to include accessibility in your process of creating and testing your software. We should start with mockups. So there's this measure telling that if you find a problem on designing part, it's 10 times easier to fix than finding the problem during implementation, which is 10 times easier to fix than problem found during testing, and so on, so on, so on. So even when you talk about mockups, think how to navigate through this page. What is, for example, keyboard order there, and so on, so on. Ask about accessibility during this step. Secondly, include accessibility in your unit tests. You can use tools called like JustAx, and writing tests is super easy. As you can see in the screen, it's few lines of the code. And during tests, you will be notified about some problems with accessibility, and you will exactly on which component it is. You can also add linter. I strongly recommend it, especially when you work with junior developers who just learn about good practices and so on. So during coding, this linter will highlight problematic places and provide information why something is incorrect and, of course, how to fix that. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, perform automated audits on your web page. But can we really trust machines? Can we think that there will be like a robot taking over the world in few months, few years? Personally, I don't think so. There are a few reasons behind it. First of them, robots are still a little dramatic, like Herbert the Vacuum who was stuck on the cliff. But the second reason is in the slide. Only 57% of problems with accessibility can be detected via automated tools, so we can't trust them fully. And we still need manual tests. When you use tools like Accessibility Insights for Web, you will receive a checklist of things to test, and you can easily generate the report telling you which parts are okay, which not, but still we have to perform those tests manually. And I can also recommend including accessibility in your code review. If you use checklist of things to test, add a checkbox for accessibility there, because the second part of eyes may see a lot of problems you missed there. Okay, we are close to the end of my presentation, so let's take a look on numbers, because we all love numbers. 1 of 12 men and 1 of 200 women in the world are colorblind. You've already seen the statistics, but I wanted to show it again. Up to 26% adults in the US have some type of disability. By 2060, the number of people 65 or older is expected to double to 98 million. But there are also good stats. 96% of all detected accessibility errors fall into main 6 categories. So we can easily improve accessibility of our web pages, addressing only those type of problems. Accessibility isn't just about ramps and captions. It's about creating a world where everyone feels welcome and valued. Not all superheroes wear capes, and you can become one of them. Just open your webpage, run the Lighthouse accessibility audit, and fix at least one accessibility bug. Because together we can create a better, more accessible world for everyone.